All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing When True Night Falls, book number 2 in C.S. Friedman's Cold Fire trilogy that was written back in the early 90s. This one was published in 1993 to be exact. It has a great Michael Whelan cover, painting, illustration. You know I love graphic design and cover illustrations. That's why we always give a review of the covers first and a shout out to the artist if we can find out who it was. Just a great wraparound cover. And Michael Whelan also did the cover of book 1, Black Sun Rising, and the cover of book 3, Crown of Shadows. And when all three books are on the shelf together, they look really nice. The set looks like it belongs together. And that is the Cold Fire trilogy, set on the paradise yet magically dangerous planet of Erna. And we've got this other trilogy that C.S. Friedman wrote that was also set on the same planet, and that is this, what is this trilogy called? The Magister trilogy. So we've got this trilogy too. And then we have this prequel novel that is a prequel to all of them, and which is important because in book number 2, the prologue starts out with these characters on a starship, and the starship has been it's a Terran starship. There's a lot of starships from the planet Terran or whatever that are sent out into the galaxy to find new worlds to inhabit. And this particular starship takes the people to the planet of Erna, which is a paradise-like planet, or so it seems until they get down there. And the prologue of this book is about Leonid Case and Lise Perez, who have a bit part in this prologue, which was written in 1993. And now this book, Nightborn, which I reviewed yesterday, is an expansion of that prologue, which C.S. Friedman just wrote 30 years later. So we're talking about this book now. I reviewed this book yesterday. If you want to watch the review of that, just, you know how to get to it. Type the name of the book, my last name, into YouTube. You will get to the review. Anyway, this book is a prequel to this trilogy. So we start out with a prologue here with Leonid Case and Lisa Perez, the main characters that are in the prequel. Anyway, the Terran ship finds the planet Erna, this paradisical planet. A long time ago, yada yada yada, they settle the planet. Now the trilogy is about their ancestors and how the planet is doing thousands of years later. This is what this trilogy is about. God, I did the shittiest job of explaining all of that. I hope it made sense. Anyway, the main characters in this book, though, are Damien Kilcannon Vryce. He is a knight of the Golden Flame, and this book begins right where Black Sun Rising left off. And also, if you want to watch my review of Black Sun Rising, book number 1 in the trilogy, go ahead and do that. But this book takes place right after that one. Now, Damien Kilcannon Vryce, this Knight of the Golden Flame, he is writing a letter to the Patriarch Jackson, the Holy Father. Now, this letter that Damien Kilcannon Vryce is writing serves as a synopsis of book 1. I thought that was a really clever idea, to have this guy write a letter to his boss about the adventure that he just went on in book 1. It gives the reader a great sort of feels, if you've forgotten what happened in book 1, don't worry, because our main character is going to tell you what happened in book 1. I thought that was a pretty clever device that the author used. Now it chronicles, the journey of Cyane of Faraday. These are the main characters in the book. Cyane of Faraday, Sensei Reese, and Heseth. Also the hunter Gerald Tarrant, who is like the mysterious figure of the whole book. Now these characters are on a new quest, and the writing is top notch. I think that C.S. Friedman's writing, if I were to compare it to anybody, and I've done this before, I compare it a lot to kind of Frank Herbert. It's just sort of that. It's got that sort of grandeur to it. It's got that sort of prose. Maybe a little more accessible than Frank Herbert and Dune, but just the depth of the world building and the depth of the characterizations is on par with the Dune. And though these come across as like epic fantasy novels, which they are, they're basically quest novels. With magic, high magic, with fey magic. And the fey magic is this sort of natural phenomenon that is found on the planet where it draws out the people's worst fears and nightmares and makes them reality. And you can imagine if your worst nightmare was made reality right in front of you, how freaky that would be. Now, this fey magic is also kind of like unpredictable. It's dependent a lot upon weather patterns, volcanic patterns, ocean tides, just the natural landscape of this, and people's moods, a lot of that stuff. So the magic system is pretty complex and pretty interesting in and of itself. The best description of the book, though, is on the back. And so normally I don't read the back descriptions, but I like, if they're really good, I will read them. So, journey into darkness, determined to seek out and destroy the source of the fey-born evil that is rapidly strengthening its control over the world called Urna, Damien Vrice, the warrior priest, has renewed his dangerous alliance with Gerald Tarrant, the immortal sorcerer known as the Hunter. And together with Heseth, a woman of Urna's native species, the Rock, they will dare the treacherous ocean crossing to Urna's eastern continent. But the crossing may well prove the least of their worries, for though the eastern continent appears to be a haven of stability and prosperity, this image of paradise masks an underlying corruption that threatens the very essence of the human spirit. And the three are soon forced to flee south into realms long since abandoned to the dark Fae and its lost creatures. Lost in a land where those who offer hope of salvation may prove to be the true masters of treachery, and readily drawn toward a rendezvous which may rob them of that which is even more precious than life, will Damien, Tarrant, and Heseth find their own fragile alliance shattered by a power to possess or destroy all of humankind. Yeah, that's a dope explanation of the book that I probably would have butchered had I tried to just remember what was going on. Anyway, again, this is a 10 out of 10. Pretty much, all these books are so damn good and so interesting and so unique and just treasures in the fantasy genre.